Today, we have the privilege of speaking with Chris Black, the Chief Revenue Officer at Jolera, a global MSP that partners with companies to provide innovative technology solutions worldwide. Now, Chris has a breadth of knowledge and depth of insight into IT services, and also he served as the previous president of Graycon. Chris, welcome to the program. How are you today?
Thanks for having me, guys. I'm doing awesome. How are you?
Fantastic. We're so thrilled to have you on. I really want our audience to understand that even though we go back in terms of our connections, our depth of our network, we're going to act like this is the first time we've ever had this conversation. And we want to kick this off by asking you about your role at Jolera. What makes Jolera so unique in the global technology landscape, and why should companies partner with a global MSP like Jolera?
Well, awesome. Thank you. I don't know if I can live up to that introduction, but I'm definitely going to try. My role at Jolera, I'm the Chief Revenue Officer. So my role is to drive revenue, and that means retaining the great partners and customers that we have and growing that ecosystem. So going out there and acquiring more partners and then making sure that they're ecstatic and evangelists for our business globally. Jolera as a global business is a bit of a unique entity. I haven't seen another organization quite like ours. We're global in nature, 15 countries, 67 cities. We're one of the only providers that still offers an end-to-end service suite with different centers of excellence built within our business. There's a lot of specialization. There's a lot of discipline. We've been doing it for 25 years. And in my opinion, I'm obviously jaded and biased, but I think we've put together the absolute best team in the industry. Our CEO, Alex Shan, has spent his entire career curating this team and building this business and hand selecting. I'm an example of it, but around me is a tremendous executive team. And we've been given the ability to just build out a tremendous team underneath of us as well. So, what makes us unique and special? We can come in and under any discipline, whether it's user support, AI and application performance management, cybersecurity, and NOC, SOC, you name the discipline. We build a center of excellence around it. We have the depth, breadth, and capability to deliver.
This is Danny. And one of the things I'm going to say to our audience, it is very difficult to be able to do everything. And if you are able to do more than one task, to be excellent in that task. And what I'm hearing from our amazing guests is that the CEO and the vision that they had is they built these centers of excellence and made them amazing. It's not just having the NOC. It's not just having a SOC. And if you don't know what that is, look, it's a network operations center, security operations center. If you have a security incident, you want to make sure that within seconds, the team is able to identify it, stop the threat, and then make sure they do something to get rid of it. And this is something that they have built. Now, another thing to think about when you expand globally, Chris, one of the things that you have to do is figure out what type of partnership we need to have in order to make sure we go global. And that typically means having a partnership who's already a global tech giant. So two questions come to my mind. One is, as you guys are expanding so fast and growing globally, how are you finding which areas you should expand to first? Is there like a roadmap that you're mapping out which cities or which regions, number one? And then number two, how did you and your team settle in on partnering with Lenovo as one of your go-to global partners and alliances as you guys continue to expand?
That's a great question, Danny. And it's obviously you've been in the industry for a while because you actually get it, building out a global apparatus and doing it with separate disciplines and different business areas that you'd be able to stand alone as their own separate businesses has been an unbelievable challenge, but it's been a great challenge. We're self-funded, so we've done this slowly over the 25 years and not taking in any outside capital is a testament to the resolve and quality of our team. But I'll call us a very opportunistic organization. We don't push, we get pulled. So for us, it's going out there and building partnerships and really building our network. Your network is your net worth as an individual and as a business. As we've gone out there and we've built these wonderful client relationships with customers of all shapes and sizes in all of these distinct geographies, we get pulled into geographies. So to answer your question a couple different ways, where do we decide to put up shop and do business? Where our customers and partners take us. And they take us to some crazy places. I think of our European business leader who was just in Angola, where we do $2 or $3 million, 2 or 3 million euros a year of business in Angola. I have team members that are in Germany today. We have people that are kind of all over the map. If our customers and partners take us there, we're the type of organization that will set up shop and build there because we believe in what our customers and partners are doing. When it comes to talent, I mean, we were a remote company before remote companies. I work for and if you want a guy who's a great interview, get Alex Shen, my CEO, on this. I work for a visionary. Alex saw remote before anybody else saw remote, just like he saw as a service before anybody saw as a service. He's always been at the tip of the spear in terms of revolutionizing this business. So when we look at talent, number one issue for any MSP, for any IT solution provider out there, how do we find and retain talent? Well, the problem is they're looking in their backyard. And if they're in North America or Western Europe, their backyard is full of competition. It's very noisy. People are very, let's call them mobile. You know, they will leave for dollars and cents and that they'll make choices very quickly. We hire people all over the world. So we're able to find cybersecurity expertise in places like Sri Lanka, where there is a tremendous tech ecosystem. And we're able to pull from that tech ecosystem. You know, we hire, I think of just about our DevOps team is spread all over the Middle East. Our cybersecurity team is everywhere across the world, including places like Warsaw, Poland, Portugal. So for us, we're an opportunistic organization, both where we do business and how we do business. And that means we're going to look for great partners that challenge us and help us grow. And we're going to find great people who want to stay and be a part of this rocket ship journey.
This is David, Chris, and I appreciate all the insight you just shared in that little small moment there. First of all, you said we got to get Alex Shan on the podcast. So I know you're going to help facilitate that. We want to have him on to get his insight, what he went through, what his vision is, and how you guys are building. And the thing that you mentioned, which is interesting, you said hire all over the world. Technology's changed so rapidly. You don't need people living 5 minutes from the office in the hub of the city. You can handle talent all over the world, bringing the best of the best to top of the talent pool to say, we're building this global region. We want you to be a part of that. Oh, by the way, you can support this area here too as well because of the way things are. And I love how you said that. I also want to touch on something before I ask you my question. And Chris, because I'm a twin, I have to set this up this way because he will jump in if I don't do this. But I want to start with this. You said we don't push, we get pulled. You talk about leveraging strategic partnerships. Maybe we weren't in EMEA, but we're going to get there now because of our partnership. Maybe we're looking at South America, but we're going to get there because of our partnerships. And you're not just going to be confined to North America. I love that you put that out there, that you could use those partnerships in a strategic manner to build your brand, to get your name out there, to help build those areas of the world. But with that in mind, we're talking about building funnels. We're talking about building systems. We're talking about building opportunities to win. So the focus in my mind, if you're able to have that reach, is definitely look at quality and not quantity of opportunities. We used to get enamored with how many things can we put in the pipeline, and you know that half of it was garbage, half of it wasn't going to go anywhere. But what's your philosophy as a sales leader on building and leveraging those partnerships that you've been bringing in to reflect that aspect of quality over quantity?
Yeah, I think that's such a great question. And I promise I will get back to why we chose Lenovo because it fits directly into everything that we're talking about. Well, my philosophy as a sales leader has never been about assignment of quota. And this is where I buck the trend pretty significantly versus a lot of sales leaders. Setting arbitrary quotas for people, and excuse my language, is bullshit. You're setting people and yourself up for failure. It doesn't make sense just to set a number and say, because like, you know, we believe in our own manifest destiny so much that by setting this number, we're going to hit it. That number has to be based on science. Sales is about science. So I like to take a step back and I like to really look at it. It comes down to activity-based selling. So what are the activities that we're going to do? What activities turn into opportunities? And how do we convert those opportunities into revenue? It's a pretty simple formula. But as you said, it starts with quality. If you're just sitting there doing a whole bunch of activities with the wrong people, you know, there's a quote, I'm going to get the quote wrong, but I promise I'll send it to you after with the right version. But the best salesperson in the world who's talking to the wrong people will lose to the worst salesperson in the world who's talking to the right people. And that's because, you know, there's influencers and there's power. There's people who want to make moves, who are ready to make moves, you know, talking to the right buyer at the right time. There's all sorts of statistics that are out there, but 97% of people aren't in a buying cycle right now. you still need to be on their radar. So it's making sure you're talking to the right person and that you're consistently on their radar so that when they are in that buying cycle, you can take advantage of it. But quality for us means that we don't just go out there, we'll talk about our channel business because that's, the primary driver of our global growth. In our channel business, we sit out there and we don't look at every partner. If you're a very small MSP, you're not going to be a fit for me. If you're focused on small and home office customers, you're not going to be a fit for me. So what we do is we have the difficult conversations right from the very start. We don't target them. If they come to us, we're very open and honest about them. We know what our customer profiling looks like. We know what our persona-based profiling looks like, and we know how to win fast and lose fast. So for our business, we sit there and we're hunting with a scope on a rifle. We're not casting a wide net. You're not going to see me at trade shows, setting up booths, willing to talk to everybody. I know exactly who my buyer is. I know exactly what their customer profile looks like. And I relentlessly pursue them with kindness and patience and offering them value.
This is David again, Chris, and I appreciate you said that. Hey, I'm going to pursue you with kindness. I'm bringing the flowers. I'm bringing the verbiage. I know exactly how I'm going to get across your mind, and I'm going to be the first front of your mind. I'm going to be the one you think about when you are ready to buy. But I want to talk about you focusing on your ICP. The more you can fine tune, the more you can narrow down who it is you're going after, the more successful you're going to be. You're not going to waste your time with the fluff, waste your time with opportunities that really aren't going to align with the direction of where you're trying to build your company and where you're trying to take Jolera. I want to ask you now about Lenovo, because when you talk about the ICP, that's when it makes sense to align with the right partner that's going to help you to go after ideal client profile. So talk about the partnership with Lenovo. How did that come about? And what are you doing to build that partnership in order to continue to refine your focus on your ICP?
Yeah, it's interesting. I've been on both sides of the coin now. So I ran one of Canada's largest MSPs in the past that we sold in 2015. I was a part of the team that helped build that up, and I was really fortunate to get to see the best and the worst of the channel community and the partner ecosystem. And being a technology alliance partner, whether you're a partner to Jolera or you're a partner to another MSP, the traditional technology alliance partner, and I'm just going to call it as it is, they care about their quotas. They care about moving boxes. They hire typically people that don't have any exposure or experience actually talking to end customers and selling to end customers. And for me, that's a massive gap. Lenovo was on my radar for a long period of time. They were a big partner of mine at Graycon. They weren't a very big partner at Jolera. They were very, very small at Jolera. Arsalan Izedarad, a gentleman who joined that I knew from my past at Graycon, and we were acquired by Rico. He joined and really got Lenovo thinking. And he started in Lenovo Canada, working with another gentleman named Chris Fabes. And Lenovo Canada really set the tone for the rest of their organization under the leadership of Colin McIsaac. And they said, how do we engage with this part of the community that's growing 10 times faster than everybody else? There's lots of resellers out there who bring lots of value to customers, but that's a game that has very little stickiness, very little margin. It's all transactional in nature. And Arslan and Chris saw that managed services providers had deeper relationships. They were stickier deals. They went broader. If somebody ended up buying one piece of Lenovo equipment, they'd probably buy three pieces of Lenovo equipment when it was through an MSP. So they really spearheaded this program within Lenovo to what's become Lenovo 360 in their MSP program. But what they spearheaded was we need to engage them differently. We need to have different conversations. Going in there and saying, here's the promo SKU of the month. I don't pay attention to that. My number one performance indicator is monthly recurring revenue. Selling laptops has nothing to do with that at all. And people will make the case, oh, you can sell a laptop as a service. Well, let me tell you, most MSP owners want to sell their company eventually. When you go and you talk to private equity or any sort of buyer, they don't care about device as a service. They don't look at that as monthly recurring revenue. They are going to lump that into the lowest paying, lowest priority bulk of the business, which is hardware, software, resale. They don't care how you get paid for it. What they're looking for is super sticky services. They're looking for business process outsourcing and engagement with the customer at a level that goes far beyond a cardboard box. So what I saw with Lenovo was they were bringing a different level of expertise, a different engagement. They were playing the long game. They stopped playing checkers. They started playing chess, which meant that they were playing the same game we were playing. They understood that my primary focus was selling a services suite and that their product could be complementary to that and help assist that. Once they started doing that, that was a game changer for us. And I went back to my executive team. I said, these guys are doing it differently. We have an opportunity not to just to drive revenues here, but to be able to drive and fundamentally change the way that hardware plays a role in us driving our most important KPI, which is our monthly recurring revenue through managed services.
I think I need to talk about this Lenovo 360 framework again because I think that is fantastic. Now, one of the things I want our audience to understand is how Chris broke down the relationship, how Chris broke down why that was important. And I always tell people all the time, you can go at it slowly and get there eventually, or you can go at it quickly with the right strategic partnership or the strategic alliances, whatever way you want to look at it. You guys also partner with other smaller MSPs as well, and you focus on ICP. And I want the audience to understand that the more hyper focused you are on your ideal client, the quicker you can have quality leads in your pipeline and faster growth. If you're all over the place, your marketing message is all over the place, their pitch is all over the place, and you're guaranteeing your sales reps have no clue what they're talking about. And it's going to be very important that you guys do that together. And you talked about how, as an MSP, the client will typically buy three pieces of equipment instead of one piece of equipment. So what I like is that when a client, from this is the reason why we transitioned from VAR to MSP, just to let everyone know, a client will call us up, want equipment, we source it through our distributors, and then that's how the client gets equipment, and then we charge services to do the install. Well, the more we went on site with the client site, the more we start realizing that there's a lot more that was needed rather than what was just purchased. And then we were able to do what we call suggestions for them, and we acted as a virtual CAO, and that led into becoming a managed service provider. And then we worked with large clients, architecture engineering firms, and that became a co-managed MSP, where we were actually a core part of their corporate IT. And we were so excited because our Cisco practice blew up, our Lenovo practice blew up, everything that we were selling blew up as far as laptops, desktops, server and storage system. And I'm what you call a fan because I met my wife at a company called IBM before it split become Lenovo. And so I have a lot of heart for that organization. Now, you talked about how Lenovo 360 is a framework. It is so pivotal for MSPs. And I think the question I want to ask is, and I want our audience to listen to this, whenever you decide to be strategic, to go all in, it's very important that you understand your partner's framework. You understand their partner program. I hear so many times MSPs say, I'm part of this program, part of that program. But when I ask them, what about the program is important to you? What benefits? Do you understand the portal? Do you understand the ins and outs? You know what? 99 times out of 100, they don't. They just don't. And that's the reason why they complain about the partner programs or they complain about things that don't work because they never really invested in it. How crucial is it for your organization and how was it successful with your organization by understanding this framework?
You know, I warned you I'd be a devil's advocate in a lot of ways. And to me, the biggest difference, they created a great framework. It's a great program. My focus and where I want my team's focus is on my program and my framework. I don't want anybody having to, there's only so much that we can put into our heads. We have enough with family, friends, outside of work obligations, inside of work. You have numbers you need to hit. You have people you have to talk to. You have follow-ups you have to do. There's all of this stuff. Understanding people's frameworks, like have a periphery understanding of that, where I would say the most important part is and what's been missing. And I would challenge any MSP to go out there and ask their account reps to explain all the programs. There's too many programs. They're too confusing. You don't know how they apply value back to your business. The biggest difference with Lenovo is that they've enabled and empowered their people. They've hired different people to come in and provide a different level of service. So I think of, who supports Jolera. There's a woman named Carly Rispoli who's absolutely fantastic. She asks more questions than anybody I've ever met. And it's not because she's not smart. It's because she wants to understand what makes us tick. She knows their programs inside and out. And there's less programs and she's able to bring them to bear on our business. She's able to do that because she comes in and her primary focus is getting to know what makes us tick. What are we doing? How are we taking market share? Who are we engaging with? The more she knows about us, she can decipher. She's like our Rosetta Stone. She goes back. She takes their programs and translates them back to us at the right time. So I, sitting there as a CRO, don't need to know it. My solutions architecture team doesn't need to know it. My reps don't need to know it. Nobody in my business needs to know it inside and out. She comes at the right time in the right place to be able to provide us the value we need so that we're able to connect those dots. It's a facilitation model, and it's something that no other partner and no other vendor that we deal with right now is doing as well as Lenovo, because they're actually connecting those dots for us. They're making it easy. They're giving us that giant red easy button, and they're letting us hit it whenever we have a deal or opportunity. And as a business, that means that my reps aren't sitting in endless meetings hearing about notebook models or server models or stuff like that. They're actually able to focus on my business, our customers, our partners, and really get engaged in things like account mapping and white space exercises, road mapping, helping customers plan, adding value to our customers. And then shockingly, when they add value to us, they become a better partner for us as well. So everybody in the ecosystem wins. They're mimicking what we've been doing for years. And you know this, Danny, you ran a business like this. What we've been doing for years, nobody else replicated until Lenovo built this program.
This is David, Chris, and so many questions are flooding my mind that I don't want to overwhelm our audience with this. I am going to ask this because you brought up something that for me really resonates, not just with me as a sales leader, but more because of my soft skills, public speaking focus. People tend to forget that critical listening and having a spirit of curiosity could be the very thing that makes you the rock star at your organization. You talked about Carly and how she was able to come in and literally just ask questions. Let me get to know you. Let me get to understand you. Let me get to get a sense of what your pain is, because oftentimes our prospects will not tell us up front what they're hurting, what's bothering them, what's affecting them, because they know they're going to be sold. But when they turn it around and they feel like they're buying and they feel like they're a part of the process with you, that's when you build not only a client, you're building an advocate, someone who's going to be an evangelist for you down the road. So it leads me to this question about sales reps, the sales team being the lifeblood of an organization, and how with customer success, they keep your clients happy. So Chris, you have had this said, and I've heard you share this before when it talks about when you talk about raising expectations, because it's not just about, oh, I'm a part of the great sales team, I'm a part of this group of great leaders who are taking over the world. No, you talk about helping them to raise their expectations. You use the acronym of MIA. We're not talking about missing in action for your sales reps, like where are they? Maybe they're putting quotes out there that aren't hitting. We're talking about measuring, inspecting, and having them being held accountable. Can you talk about MIA and perhaps another strategy or two that you use to help your sales leaders, your sales professional raise their game?
Absolutely. I love that you brought that up. In fact, it's weird. We're near final draft on my first book, and MIA plays a really big part of that. And I was literally going through that with a very good friend of mine last night as we were going through the draft. MIA measurement, inspection, and accountability is at the heart of what I believe the framework should be for a sales leader. And that means that you engage your team on their level. It's not telling them what to do, it's working with them on accomplishing your mutual goals. So what are we trying to accomplish? What does success look like? Too often people don't know what that is. Too often people just say, it's a quota number. That's what success looks like. And ultimately for a business, it is. But break that down. Let's go back to the science. So you sit down and you say, what does success look like from an activity perspective? How are we going to measure this? Not how am I going to measure this? This is how we are going to measure it, because this is a collaborative action. You need to be measuring yourself every day against your numbers and your activities. It's not just me. If you're hearing from me and I'm upset with it, I've missed out and I've not done my job by staying in constant touch with you, and you haven't done your job. So measurement is knowing what the stakes of the game are. What are you supposed to be doing? When are you supposed to be doing it? What is that supposed to look like? Inspection is letting them know very specifically, here's how the business is going to be expecting those measurements. We are going to be looking at them. What gets measured and what gets managed gets done. If it's just there and they need to do it, but nobody's ever looking at it, guess what happens? The discipline falls away. People get complacent. You get distracted. No, they need to know. Here's the interval in which we're going to look at this. Here's how often we're going to talk about this. Here's when you need to report on it and bring it back up. I'm not just going into a CRM. A CRM is a stupid system with dull data. I want context. I want situational awareness. I want you to walk me through the narrative of your opportunities. If you can't do that, those opportunities aren't real to me. They're just things in a CRM. And then accountability. If you're not doing the things you're supposed to be doing, and if the inspection of that measurement shows that you're not doing those things, and we sit down and we talk about it and we put strategies together for you to be able to change, for us to give you more time, more room, more support, and it's still not happening, this is what accountability looks like because we're all being held accountable and you really let them know, it's just like anything else. My team knows exactly what my number is. They know that monthly recurring revenue and revenue growth and retention are the things that keep me employed and keep my boss happy. And my boss phones me every single day. So I know what my measurement, what my inspection, what my accountability looks like, and I flow that right down the line. So it's completely transparent. There's no fake noise. That the signal is never lost in the noise. They know exactly where it's at and how it needs to work. And what that opens up for us is the opportunity to coach and engage. And it's at a collaborative level as opposed to a management level. And there's a big difference there. When a manager coaches, when a manager comes in and tells people what to do, they're going to do it in a plotting, reactive fashion. When you are coaching somebody collaboratively and they know you have as much skin in the game, if not more than they do, and that their success is your success, they'll work with you and they'll put everything that they can in to hit that. They'll try new things. They'll test out new theories and possibilities. They'll A/B test stuff. They'll go the extra mile, and that's what we want from our people. And that's when we get the best out of those people, and we're able to get on these rocket ships and achieve 30 or 40% growth year over year.
This is Danny. I want our audience to hear that achieve the 30 to 40% growth year over year. That is phenomenal. One of the things I'm really grateful for in this new business that we've had, it's not new anymore. We've been doing this for a while now, is that we coach a lot of the MSPs, ISVs that are out there in IT services space. In fact, one of the ways we're able to do it is by building this revenue optimization model where every team member is provided a very clear direction. They understand the metrics that's going to be used. As you talked about measure, right? The MIA aspect is the measure. And I love that. And you talked about the accountability. We provide the clear direction first, and we leverage the software to do that. And it's not boring CRM. And then we align the team members to ability and help them to adjust their course. A lot of times we keep going and we go in and we go and we don't look back. And it's very important that as you are measuring, that you're able to adjust the course. And then we're so excited that we're able to do that daily. We don't have to wait till the end of the quarter. It's not like 2 weeks before the quarter and you're saying, oh my gosh, I'm going to make my quota. We know exactly how it's going to take place, when it's going to take place. And when we do those two things, we're now able to build a unstoppable rhythm of execution that creates accountability and ownership. And that is so crucial when a team member understands that they're developing ownership of their pipeline, they're developing ownership of their conversation, they're developing ownership of their daily activities in order to make sure that the team is going to be successful. I think all those things together has been crucial and has been beneficial for your growth and your organization growth. I think that's phenomenal. Some things that we do when we coach our larger clients, our larger MSPs out there, you guys are already putting that process in place. So first of all, congratulations on that. And then second, I want to tell our audience, look, take a step back. Chris has done things a little bit unorthodox, but it works. And then when he steps back and he is able to measure things, and it's not the aspect of just saying it's an MI, this is the ability to measure, inspect, and then have accountability. This is going to give every team member that ability to say, yes, I'm taking this initiative, I'm going to grow with it. Now, I have a quick question, and I think our audience needs to understand this. When it comes to building this funnel, David talked about earlier the quality over quantity, which is so important in getting the right type of ICP, the right type of philosophy that's being put in place with you and your team. You have had this ability to look at all aspects of revenue, but what people tend to forget is customer success is also very important for growth. It's getting the client you just won and keeping them happy for a long period of time, because when a customer is happy, there is no longer as a long sales cycle. They're going to renew with you. And when they renew, they tend to buy more with you. So talk about your philosophy of sales growth, not just being sales as a function, but customer success as a function for revenue growth too.
With these questions, I'm worried that you guys somehow got a draft of my book, and it's worrying me right now because these are a lot of things that I cover. And honestly, so here's another thing where I go against the grain, and I coach a lot of MSPs that we deal with on this as well. And that's that, everybody said so 80% to 90% of their budgets are spent on new customer acquisition. And for any established MSP, if you're a startup, that's absolutely right. Chase it. You got to get out there. You got to create a brand. You got to get after it. But if you've been around for a while and you have a good customer base, you need to flip that thinking. 80% of the business that is attainable and right in your face is sitting within your current customer index. Some people call it customer success. Some people call it account management. Call it whatever the hell you want to call it. It's engaging your actual customers who already know you, already trust you, already have set up payment mechanisms and rails with you. They've already given you the proverbial credit card. That's where your opportunity lies. So my philosophy and what's worked really well with me, and people argue it and fight me on it, but when they actually put it in, and hopefully my CEO agrees with me, I know he agrees with me because it's proven itself out. But when you actually put a proper white space exercise account mapping philosophy into your business, and you routinely, with discipline, review, and it's really simple. On one axis, take out a spreadsheet. On the vertical axis, you have all your customer names. On your horizontal axis, it's all your solutions. It's X's and O's. X is where you've sold your solution. O is where you haven't. Those O's are opportunities right across the board. And you will be stunned at what you'll be able to learn about your business and the opportunity, the wallet share that you're missing with current customers who already know and trust you. You'll be able to learn about your reps because you'll find where your reps are comfortable. I've seen it so many times. Cybersecurity, tons of O's. Why is that? It's not because people don't have a solution. It's because their reps don't know how to confidently talk about it. They don't have an overlay to support them on it. You can dissect so much information from this. But if you spend 80% of and it's not dollars, energy on understanding your current customers and their buying habits and behaviors from you and where you're bringing value and where you're not, and you start to mastermind against how you can take that message to them en masse, and you can build campaigns or you can do it in straight one-to-ones depending on the size of the customer. When you go in and do that, your sales will fly through the roof because these are people who already know. You don't have to go in, you don't have to establish brand awareness, build a level of trust and rapport, get them over the finish line on their first purchase. That takes time and it costs a lot of money. You never stop doing that. Always be hunting, always be growing. But your growth engine in your business, I like to use the analogy. People want to cook dinner, so they order in. Everything you need is in your cupboard. You just have to put in the work to cook it.
This is David, and I'm loving it. And thank you for mentioning your book and how Dan and I may have gotten an early copy of it. But we're just in sync here, Chris. We really are. And I think the stuff that you're doing, the stuff that you're saying is necessary. It's needed in this space because so much of the growth of these organizations, they're done through the channel. They're done through partnerships. As a matter of fact, one of the companies that we've been working with said that their growth has been 85% through the channel itself. And so when you have the right partnerships, that's where you're going to find the great success. And so we're happy to be a part of your journey, your success, to be able to say, here's the book. When the book comes out, we're going to have you back on and talk about the book as well. We love that. That's what we do. I want to touch on something here that you alluded to and something that I think might make some sense to those who are now in the full swing of conferences and going to different cities, going to different events hosted, let's say by the largest, greatest, you name it, companies that are out there in the world. I'm invited oftentimes, Chris, to teach and speak on how to prepare for conferences. I'm going to be a vendor at a conference. How do I get the most out of my booth? I'm going to be at a conference speaking. How do I maximize the stage that I'm at? And this is where Danny and I are often brought in to teach on public speaking skills. And yes, we do have a book on that. So you've been involved at many different conferences. You've been involved in Lenovo's roadshows. So what have you observed personally from these events, and how do you think that they not only shape the direction of your offerings and your partnerships, but also help shape the leaders that you're bringing into the space and say, this needs to be a part of your focus and building this practice?
Oh man, I warned you guys, you might not like some of the answers that I give you on here. Okay, insert inflammatory warning here. Most conferences and most people's approach to conferences are a complete and absolute waste of time, energy, and money. This is the only job I've ever had. I've worked in IT managed services since the day I got out of school. That's the only thing I've done for 20 years. So I've been to hundreds and hundreds of conferences. I've seen them done well. I've seen them done poorly. But if you are, let's look at it from two aspects. On the one side, if you are a business that's going to a conference and your goal is to sell your stuff to conference attendees, you need to be really, really careful. We talk about ICPs and personas. Is your ICP going to be there? If yes, is the persona who buys going to be there? Is the influencer who's going to talk to that primary person going to be there? If the answer is no to those things, you shouldn't be there. Being there makes you feel good. And you see so many people that are there to go to the boondoggles or they go to play at the craps. They want to play craps, but they're there for the wrong reasons. Okay. They leave early, they show up late, they come for a day. There's no value. And this is where measurement, inspection, and accountability should apply to everything. If you're going to invest in an event that's supposed to drive your business, how did it drive your business? Did you send the right people? You sent your marketing team who never talks to customers to work your booth. Does that make sense? Do they know your value proposition? Are they able to extend that and have the right conversation and do discovery within a 15-second or 30-second window? No, the answer is no. Every single time people come back, oh, I got 200 business cards. You got 196 of the wrong people, and the 4 people that actually mattered, you had a shitty conversation with. So who cares? Why are you spending the money? Take that money and focus on who are the unique customer profile. Who are the customers we really want to deal with? Who are the personas that actually buy and that we actually need to influence? And what are their watering holes? Where can we actually get their attention? More often than not, you're better off sending them a custom pair of Nikes with your logo on it and send them one Nike and hold the other one and say, hey, I've got the other pair of the other Jordan waiting for you. Just take my call. You're way off. Send a food truck to their office and buy lunch for everybody. You'll spend less money, make more impact, and get more meaningful phone calls than going to conferences. Now I'll look at the other side of the equation where I think it's even more wasteful. You're going to attend a conference because you, as a business owner or as a business leader, you want to send people there so they learn about possible technology partners. Okay, why'd you send a salesperson? I'm a career sales guy who got to go to a lot of conferences and waste a lot of time in my younger days until I became a leader and I looked at my own habits and behaviors and like, yeah, I wasted so much of Graycon's time and money going and doing these because I wasn't having the right conversations. I wasn't doing the right things. As a leader, the bulb went off in my head. And it's like, I need to send leaders to those conferences to do 2 things: to create relationships and to reinforce existing relationships. That's it. You go there, you don't go there to learn about the 18th backup technology that's sitting out there. You're not buying it anyway. And quite frankly, unless you're the person who runs that service department, you don't have input on that anyway, and you shouldn't. So send your sales leader or your business leaders in to develop relationships. You talked about it. You have an MSP, 85% of their business comes from technology alliance partnerships. Do you know why it comes from those? It's not by luck. I guarantee you it's because they're engaged at the right level with the right conversations and they have a mutual value recognition that's there and they're reinforcing it with dinners and drinks and time together and QBRs and all the valuable things that reinforce how relationships happen. So quite frankly, if you want to recommend how people should go to events, be very specific, be very focused, know exactly what outcomes you're looking for, and then measure them ruthlessly. Because if you're not getting it on either side of the equation, stop doing it because it's not adding value to your business.
A lot of times we don't ask these important questions. You're absolutely correct. One of the things I'm really excited about is the fact that you looked at each aspect. It's not just, is it important for the sponsor? Is it important for the end user as well, the MSP going to these events? And are you sending the right people? This is so important. We always think, I just spent $250,000 in events this year. What was my ROI? No, stop it. You know your ROI is going to be fantastic if you send the right people. As you talked about, certain conferences, the right tech person needs to go. Certain conferences, the right sales reps. Some conferences, whatever it may be, you got to send the right people. And then you need to make sure they talk to each other to have the right focus at the event. So many times, Dave and I go to conferences and events. We go to thousands of them. We've probably been to a few hundred like yourself. And we speak at a lot of these conference events. In fact, Dave and I are going to be speaking at a big conference event, one of the largest ones in North America, next week. And we're excited because of the fact that we're going to be teaching a class on communications for these sponsors as well, teaching them who's going to be at this event, why are they going to be at the event, who is your ICP, how are you going to address your ICP, You got 30 seconds. What is your elevator pitch? Why is that important? Are you sending the right people, not just people who get the sign up going around robin? I know a vendor that does global sponsorships every year, and they just do round robin and pick a name out of a hat. And I'm like, that's the last thing you're supposed to do. And I want to encourage our audience, if you're going to an event as well, ask yourself, if you're a small player and you want to become a bigger player, who's the right partner I need to work on building a relationship with to have a good P2P relationship, partner to partner relationship? Maybe this partner has access to accounts you're trying to get into, or maybe they have a specialty in cybersecurity that you don't have. Whatever it may be, you need to ask yourself that, because then that'll help you be focused when you go to conferences and events. And don't just go there for the drinking that some people like to do. Go and be focused. If you're really trying to grow, you as a sponsor need to be focused. You as an MSP need to be focused, and you as a hopefully one day as a partner need to be focused. And if you feel like you have it all together, ask yourself this one question: am I still learning? What am I going to learn from this conference? And today we want to thank Chris for being a special guest, and we actually would like to invite him back on along with the CEO, because we would like to get that strategy. What's it like to have that conversation in the boardroom where you have a vision and then you have a CEO say, look, this is the vision we have for the organization. And then you have a CEO say, okay, we're going to make it happen, but we're not going to do it the traditional way. We're going to do it differently, in a way that I know will work with our MIA process. And in fact, as we grow globally, we're going to bring on a great strategic vendor with us who already has a global presence in just about every single region around the world, in their relationship with Lenovo. So, Chris, we want to thank you for being a member of what I call one of the greatest growth mindsets an executive can have. There's a lot of executives out there, but not a lot have that great growth mindset. And you are clearly one of those. And when you get your book done, please come back on our podcast. Any last parting thoughts you would like to give to our audience when it comes to having that right mindset for global expansion before we close off?
Yeah, if I can back end it with anything, it's your growth is going to come from your relationship with your customers. Everything else is secondary. Everything else. You're looking for numbers, comes from your relationship with your customers. You're looking for, we're about to hit some sort of bad economic turbulence. It's your relationship with your customers that's going to keep you safe. You want your team to be happy, your relationship with your customers and making sure you have good customers. Your team's going to be happy because good people like delivering for good people. I mean, it's just the way that the world works. So MIA, build it into your business, look at it through every lens, whether it's in sales or operations or partnerships. I think, running a good business can be very simple if we don't add a ton of complexity to it.
Thank you to our listeners today. Thank you to Chris for being our special guest. If you found any insight from our guest today, please subscribe and make sure you follow up with your own clients and your own ICP, because relationships are key. And because of our relationship with Chris, we're going to have him back on when his book is out so that he can share insights.